ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Today we'll hear from Joe Merritt about Eeyore the Magnificent, what it means to be truly committed to your hound, and a lot more. Help me welcome Joe Merritt to the program. Well, hey Joe, how are you?
I'm doing very, very well. How are you, Mr. Buff?
I'm doing just fine. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and learning more about your hounds. So for people that don't know who Joe Merritt is, could you tell us a little about yourself? Maybe share a little about how you got into hunting. Share whatever you want. I mean, even if you want to share some personal things about what you do outside of hunting, that's okay too.
Sure, very good. Hi, guys. My name is Joe Merritt, and a little bit about myself. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a foreign deployed naval veteran. And most importantly, I'm a committed houndsman. That's a little bit about myself.
Awesome. Well, one thing I've noticed is that I believe your kennel name is JJ Kennels. So,
correct.
Where did that come from? Tell us a little bit about JJ Kennels.
Yeah, JJ Kennels originated, my kennel partner, Jared LaPink. I've always just been a critter getter. I never went to field trials or didn't know anything about it, to be honest with you. And one day, Jared he asked me to help him get into dogs, and he wanted something to do with his boys, and I was kind of out of it at that time. And long story short, through networking, I knew right where to go to get some dogs. And I told the wife, I said, well, I'm going to get another one. And she knew the road that we were going down. And long story short, we got some good dogs. We're killing rabbits. We're having a good time. And one day Jared was like, hey, do you know anything about field trials? No, I don't. I said, well, would you like to go to one? And I told him, I said, you know what, you do the homework, you figure it out, and yeah, sure, we'll go. And to get into that, not knowing anything about it, innocently, we went to a brace trial with a bunch of coal roller dogs. So that was kind of an eye-opener. And luckily, those guys were nice, even though we ruined their day. And they mentioned to me, like, hey, man, you need to just go try different formats. You need to see where your dogs do well and maybe focus there. And that's exactly what we did. And the kennel name, JJ Kennels, is as simple as Jared Joe Kennels. Everybody seems to think it's Java Joe because that's my nickname in the circuit, but the name originates from Jared and Joe Kennels.
Very good. Joe, what part of the country are you in, and what's the hunting like where you are? Like, what does it look like out there?
We're in, everybody calls us the Flatlanders. We're in central Indiana. Where I live is clean fence row and ag. When you get outside of that, you're going to get into reservoir areas that have thickets around the reservoir. But at the end of the day, you're going to need a dog that's going to hunt a skinny to jump a rabbit.
Can you tell us a little about how long you've been doing this? How long have you been hunting with hounds?
Well, as far as hounds in general or in competitions?
Both. Yeah, I'd love to know both.
Okay, very good. Really, I don't come from an outdoorsman family. My parents are divorced, and every other weekend I got to go see my dad and go spend the summers with my dad, and that's where the rednecks lived. So when I got into hunting, it was more treeing coons and squirrel hunting and etc. But that led to some of those guys had uncles and grandfathers that ran rabbit dogs. And that's really where I got my feet wet. I got invited to go, and then all of a sudden it became, that's my focus. I want to go to dad's because I want to go to dog. And that's really where it started. My family really weren't outdoorsmen. But luckily, where my dad lived in Tennessee was nothing but outdoorsmen, and that's where it all began.
Well, how long have you competition hunted?
I believe I would be safe to say I started in late 2020, early 2021. That would be our first trial.
Wow. Well, you guys have had a lot of success.
We have beat the interstate to death. Yes, sir.
Well, could you maybe talk through what you've learned during that time? Maybe talk about some of those big wins, because I know you've had them, and I imagine with those come some tough losses too. But could you talk us through maybe some of that history, and it's okay to brag here. You know, if you have some proud moments that you want to talk about, I'd love to hear those. And here's another one, and this is a long question. I promise this is the end of it. But
All right.
I know when you've been out there beating up these interstates and riding around and hunting all over the place, you've probably seen some crazy things or had some weird things happen. I'd love to hear some of those stories too.
Sure, absolutely. You know, being brand new into the sport, it'd be one thing to be brought into it and be pointed in the right directions and taught the ropes. But coming in it with no field trialing background, you know, the downs, the lows would be just simply learning the sport, learning the rules. We all know dogs, but that's the toughest part as far as getting into the sport is just sitting back and paying attention and learning. And that's the best variable for playing the game, I believe. You know, it is ups and downs. We all have that dog that wins on Thursday, but Saturday morning, you know, maybe that dog don't arise. So there's a lot of ups and downs in trialing. But as far as what I've learned is just learn the sport, run the rules, understand it's tough in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is ultimately, you know, do what's right. It's best to earn the respect from the hound community, and that really does make your adventure a lot easier long term.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some of the best hounds that you've personally owned and hunted?
Oh, as far as personally owned, I'm gonna have to go with, if I could take a dog and bring it back to life, it's gonna be a dog that I know I own named Monica. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely what I like in a dog. She was a great dog. There we go. Mm-hmm. She was a great dog. So I don't know her background, her pedigree. I just know Monica was one of my favorite dogs I've ever owned. Another dog on that list would be JJ Emerald Blue. Just absolute what I like in the dog. Unfortunately, she's not with us, but those are two of probably my favorite that I've owned. And then obviously Big E is starting to grow on me a little at this point.
Mm-hmm. I'd love for you to talk about him some, because that's when I've seen your name and seen you in the on social media or in magazines. I see the picture of Eeyore the Magnificent. So could you just tell us a little bit about him, maybe a little bit about his history?
Yep. Eeyore was bred by one of my very good friends, Michael Snyder and Karen Snyder, out of Nashville, Michigan. And this was a dog that I had no intentions in owning, getting. The way the cookie crumbled on this dog was I went up there to get him because I was going to campaign him. Mm-hmm. And I left Friday night, and everything was fine. I did my chores. I rolled out. I went to Mike's house, and I ran Saturday morning. It would have been February 24th. It'd be Eeyore's first trial this year. And so I picked him up. I returned home to find that Geek had passed away.
Oh.
And then that was kind of like, that was my dog in the beginning that I campaigned, and she did really well. And then, you know, it's like, that just took the win from my sale. And
sure.
About 4 days later, I received a packet in the mail, and it was a pedigree signed over to my name. It was health records. It was a letter written by Mr. Snyder, and he felt in his heart that he wanted to gift me that dog, and I would be the person that he wanted to campaign that dog. So that's where it started right there, Mr. Buff. One of my best friends, Michael Snyder.
Nice. Tell us about him. I mean, how does he hunt? You know, what makes him special? Because He's done a lot of winning this year. I'd love for you to share a little bit about some of the hunts that he's won.
Yeah, he's successful because of his conservativeness. He's not a great jump dog. He doesn't jump a lot of rabbits. You know, in the game we play is strikes king, unless you have lines. And Big E's game is just be totally transparent. You're pounding a rabbit, you fumble the rabbit, you're at a loss. Big E's able to throw the anchor down, work it from inside out. Generally, a line is called after that, and obviously dogs are going to swing to try to hook that check. And where he throws the anchor down, 9 times out of 10, he'll score a line by himself. And after he crosses that plane of scoring, that's when the dogs are honoring him and come in from all angles and miss. That is Eeyore's. That's where he wins.
Nice.
He's got very good line control. Absolutely can pound a rabbit. And that's where he does well. You know, there's nothing flashy about the dog whatsoever. He just doesn't make very many mistakes. He's very conservative and accurate on strikes, and stays in that check area well, gets a lot of checks, and that's where he's successful at the end of the day. I would say his average strike is second or third position. He don't strike fast. He don't strike first. He's just very accurate.
Well, tell us a little bit about his winning this year. I was thinking I saw a list, and at the time that we're recording this, it's right at the end of the year, end of December, and I was thinking I was reading a review of NHBA for the UKC stuff, and he's at the top of the list in there somewhere. He's pretty high up, so I know he's done a lot of winning this year, but tell us a little bit about that.
This year we committed to running the NHBA points race. We hooked up early. I had no intentions in running it. I had a new hound. I had to learn this hound. But fortunately, the dog hooked up, and I didn't have a choice but to hit the interstate. We won the points race series this year. And I'm terrible about remembering. I don't have an annual resume here in front of me, but the dog just consistently won. He went 4 for 4 at some hunts. He generally was a 75 percentile winning dog. So if you're putting him in a dog box and you're driving across the country and you have 4 casts, you're going to get 3 of them. And it still this day it blows my mind. But ultimately that was a progression of Big E. We got into about middle of the points race, and I'm sitting with a 14-month-old dog, you know. Wow. And Mike, Mike's my buddy. He's my partner, and he's like, Joe, he's taking it, you know. And I'm like, oh man, this is a lot of pressure on a young dog. And every cast, you know, I talk to Mike, and he's like, is he handling the pressure? He's handling it. So we keep driving across the country and beating the interstates until the West Virginia state hunt. And we were in a cast, and there was a dog owned by the Wimkeys named Crank. And that was the first time in the points race that I seen him cracked. Like, oh, man, what are we going to do now, Mike? And so we just went back to I sent him the dog. He ran it with really conservative dogs, got him cleaned back up, and then we just kept hitting on all cylinders and finished the race in first place this year. And, you know, a shout out to second place was Izzy Note, which is one of my youth handlers. And it's pretty neat. We got to go to all these hunts, and we both did very well. And it was a fun run. That was probably our biggest achievement last year as far as hunts. But he did well in nationals. Again, I can't remember all the resume, but he did really well at all state hunts and sectional hunts, and got down to the end of it and secured the win.
Joe, as you've been out there hunting in these big hunts, I know you've had to come across some really good hounds. Could you talk about some of those hounds that really caught your eye that you found to be impressive?
Yeah, we can't talk about one. I have. Let's go with 4 dogs that have provided wow factors to me in a cast, and those dogs are as followed, Mister Buff. White River, Wild Bill, owned by Pappy Moore, and handled by Jason Vandegrift. Wild Bill is a dog that a handful of times has absolutely blew my mind. Completely take charge of a cast and leave your guts hanging out there. White River Wild Bill. Another dog that's provided me wow moments would be Cross Country Legs Matter, Atlee Landbright out of Michigan. This is another dog that, again, these dogs are based upon what I've seen since I started 2021-ish, okay?
Okay.
And Fifi, when she was a year and a half old, was an absolute bad rat. Little Italy's Whole Shot, owned by Jeff Ing, Matt Turner. Old Big Meat, he's 8-9 years old today, and that dog still provides you with wow factor each time you let him go. One more. A dog that blew my mind in the beginning when I started was Butler's Lone Ranger, owned by Brock and Nate Butler out of Michigan. At this time, we're going back 4-ish years ago, and Ranger is just a dog that I never wanted to draw whatsoever. He was smooth, cool, collective, and just leave your guts laying out there. That's 4 dogs right there that I've seen within the 4 years that have absolutely made me go, dang, And that might not be consistently over all that time, but those are 4 dogs that have provided me a wow factor in at least one of the casts I've been in.
Well, Joe, this plays perfectly into kind of a question I love to ask everybody. If you had like a Mount Rushmore of hounds, if you had 4 hounds you would like to see on a cast, and these could be hounds that are living today or not, hounds from the past that you could bring back to hunt one time against each other. What are 4 hounds you'd love to see go on a cast?
That's a lot easier question to answer if you've been in this for a long time. 4 dogs. I didn't prepare myself for that question. I really don't know. Off just shooting from the hip, 4 dogs. I'd have to put more thought into that.
All right, Joe, let's cheat. Let's cheat a little bit. You just gave me 4 dogs. You had Wild Bill, you had Legs Matter, Whole Shot, and Ranger.
Okay.
Let's say those are 4 dogs on your cast. Who's going to win that cast?
See, that's the thing. What my hang-up is Ranger's an old man now. He's 19 years old. So's Whole Shot. But you know what? I'm a jump dog guy. I'm going to go with Fifi. Country Roads Legs Matter.
Okay, very good. I like it. I really do. As you've done this for a while, everybody learns lessons, kind of life lessons or things that maybe if they could go back and change something they would, or something they wish they would have learned earlier on, or somebody would have told them. Is there anything, if you could go back and tell yourself when you were first starting this journey in the hound world, is there anything that you would change or anything you wish you would have known way back then?
No, sir. No. Everything happens for a reason. I'm not one to look backwards, only forward. So with that said, no, I wouldn't change anything because, everything you go through to get to where you're going is a learning block. So no, I wouldn't change anything.
Love it. I love it. Talk to us a little bit about what it takes to be successful at this level. I mean, you're sitting right now with the number 1 dog in the country after after an entire year of hunting with NHBA. What does it take to win in these hunts? What kind of dog do you need?
Let's back up. It's not the dog. Because at the end of the day, we all have extraordinary bred dogs. What it takes is truly being committed to your hound. And if you're gonna expect to win consistently at a high level without providing commitment to your hound, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So everything is based upon commitment. That's getting up at. For my case, like I said, a father, husband. I own a business. I'm on my feet at 3 a.m. I'm running dogs. I'm soloing dogs until 7:38. I'm coming home. I'm showering, going to work. Mm-hmm. Coming home, the kid goes to wrestling. I go on a 3-mile rip. Come home, get my chores done. It's all about commitment. Mm-hmm. And rabbit.
Well, I think you kind of answered the next question I was thinking about asking, which was, as you're preparing for that weekend hunt, what are you doing during the week?
We're just talking club hunt, or are we talking nationals?
Well, let's talk both. Is there a difference in the local club hunt, how you prepare versus how you hunt for the national hunt?
I believe so. At the end of the day, it always goes back to commitment. So commitment is running your dog, whatever you find is correct, 2 to 4 times a week, 3 to 5 times a week. Mm-hmm. So when there's a club hunt, right up the road, I'm not really doing a whole lot of special preparation because the dog stays tuned in. Mm-hmm. But when we get into big 5s, nutrition, time you're feeding your dog, maybe a little bit of a keep system. I like to wean a dog from maybe a full scoop to a half a scoop right up to a trial. A lot goes into it. I like to run a dog real hard and then come out of that and then run a dog into 1 or twice a day for maybe only 3 miles, maybe only 3.5 miles, maybe 5 miles. Mm-hmm. But I want that rabbit once and twice a day leading up to a major event. So there is ways to ensure success by your training regimen. And, a lot of the guys that I've met in trialing and became very good friends with, a lot of this information was provided by them. I didn't figure everything out on my own.
That's super interesting. Let me ask you another question about competition hunting. Is there anybody you like to beat more than anybody else? I mean, is there just that one person you really like to beat?
I don't know. I take.
Come on now, Joe. There's somebody you like to take out.
It's always a good day when you put a C-dub on the scorecard over Matt Turner or Vandegrift or any of my buddies. It's mm-hmm. always nice when you beat your buddy, but not really. Mm-hmm. It's not really. Mm-hmm. It's one cast at a time. That's how I do it.
I got you. You've been doing this for a while, and one of the things that I think I know is that you hunt different registries too. In addition to UKC, I know you're big in UKC, but I think you hit some of the others too. Are there any rules out there that if you could change a rule, or if you could just eliminate a rule, or you'd like to see a rule added? Are there, what's your opinion on that?
I don't know, maybe an IQ test before starting a cast. But as far as rules, that's the thing to remember is we all do the same thing, but depending on what registry you run, we may play the game differently. And if you just look at it like that, it's a lot better. But as far as change anything, not really. I feel like our sport's in a good place, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. What advice would you give to somebody that's interested in rabbit hunting? And maybe the advice is different if they're going to pleasure hunt versus competition hunting, or maybe it's the same. But do you have any words of wisdom you would share with someone?
It goes back to that comment we talked about earlier, and that's commit. If you're going to trial a dog and you're going to invest hotel, fuel, travel time, entry, if that's something you think you want to do, you need to fully understand what committing to a hound is. That right there. There's so much strength in what I just said. Mm-hmm. Committing to your hound. If you're not doing that, you're probably not going to have much of a good time, and it's going to get expensive really quick.
And you It sounds like you feel really good about the future of the sport. So, what's your take on the youngsters today? Do you feel good about the up and coming talent at these hunts?
Well, I personally pack probably more youth in the country than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question, I do think we're in a good spot. I do see youth participating, but at the end of the day, all of these kids that I've traveled with for 3-4 years, and all of these kids in the country, they're going to come down to reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you got to get a job, you got to do this thing called life, and that intimidates me about the answer I provide you. I believe we're in a good place, and I believe we're all working hard to bring new people and youth into the sport. But I really don't know. Mm-hmm. You can only do so much, Mm-hmm. and when we talk about youth, there's a lot going on in their lives, and maybe dogs ain't the foremost for them.
Yeah, I can see some challenges out there for the youngsters today that maybe weren't there when we were younger. I just think there's a lot more competition for their attention. There's just a lot more Absolutely. For them to do than maybe we had. But
one thing to remember about, we throw the word youth out there. Youth mm-hmm. is only their age. These youth ain't running against youth. They're running against me. They're running against everyone else. So it's unbelievable to think that 13, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids will absolutely be in the top 16s, the top the semis, the finals. It amazes me at times.
Another question I have for you, Joe, it sounds like when you commit to a hound, you're all in on this hound. How many hounds do you have at a time? Do you have, like right now it's Eeyore, but do you have a dog that's kind of up and coming? Do you have that bench that you're working on at the same time, or do you just really focus on the one dog, and then when that runs over, you move on to another dog? How does that work for you?
Well, you always have to have your future, your mm-hmm. up and comings. Another thing to be successful in this sport, you're not going to be able to do it alone. It's a team effort. And that's one thing to think about. So, unfortunately, I have young dogs coming up, and I have partners that are helping with those young dogs. And when they get to the mark where we can put them on the bus and travel and win, that's when we do that. But we do have some young dogs coming up. We bred Emerald Blue with Charlie Pride, Matt Turner's Charlie Pride, and got a pile of Geek Squad pups, and that'll manifest this year, 2025. Mm-hmm. And we just made the Hope Tucker cross again, the Eeyore 2.0s, and I got a female and a male out of that, and that would be same cross as Eeyore. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we got going on right now and in the near future.
Do you have any in particular that has you really excited right now?
Yes. Out of the Geek Squad, I have a pup named Ruby, and if I can get her mouth right, she's going to be hard to beat.
Mm-hmm. As you think about what you like and what you like in a hound, if you could draw up the perfect hound for you, what would that hound look like, hunt like, sound like?
At the end of the day, when we talk about rabbit dogs, what makes my heart happy is a jump dog, because if we mm-hmm. can't jump a rabbit, we can't talk about nothing else. So mm-hmm. I love an extraordinary jump dog. I like a lean, whippet style rabbit dog. Maybe one would think it's ugly, but that's what I like. That's not what I'm packing currently.
Do you like any particular color or mouth or what?
I like open mark.
Mm-hmm.
Just easier to score and see. Naturally, I like an open mark dog.
Well, Joe, this has been fascinating. I've learned a lot about you, a lot about your hounds, and this has been very good. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have, or is there anything that you want to promote? I don't know if you have any studs or any pups on the way or anything like that, or just really just to open it up for you here. No, I don't breed dogs. I don't sell dogs.
Mike Snyder, he breeds them, gets them to where they need to be, and then I take them on the campaign bus. So not really, just I forget at times that my dog's still 1. He hasn't turned 2 yet. So we got 2025 coming up. So I'm excited about that, and maybe introduce some young stock, and just looking forward to a new year.
Very good. Well, very good. And I know at some point, I know you said you're not a breeder, but somebody's going to want some little baby Eeyores running around. I can just, I can see that in the future at some point.
Maybe. We'll see. Kind of stingy with those.
Well, Joe, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit more about your story and about your hounds.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. And remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when we have new content available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.